Hi there. This is a video about solving percent problems using proportions, okay? What we had done in the past is we had used the equation P times B is equal to A, all right? Where P represents your percent as a number. B, we use the word of, and A, we use the word is. All right, so what I want to do is talk about a proportion. Now, a proportion, remember, is when you have equal fractions, okay? And so what we can do is set up a proportion for this kind of problem. And what we would want to do is use the proportion is over of. So making that fraction is over of is equivalent to your percent over 100. And whatever you don't have, we can use a proportion to solve this, all right? So this is your formula, and that's what we're going to use for the next couple of problems in this video. All right, so in this problem, it's asking us to solve each percent problem by setting up a proportion. So it's asking us what percent of 125 is 108. Now, what I want to do is write out my proportion, and that's is over of is equal to percent out of 100. All right, and so what we can do is, figure out what are we trying to find? Well, what percent? That's what we don't know. So our percent, we don't know what that is. But we know that our of value is 125, okay, because it just says of 125, is equal to 108 because it says is 108. So now once we have those values, and you can use the percent symbol or you can use P, doesn't really matter. I'm kind of using P because, we don't know what that is. And so because of this, let's set this up. All right, I'm going to plug in, replace is with 108. So 108 divided by of, which is 125, is equal now to your percent P out of 100, okay? And so what we can do at this point is cross multiply our proportion. So you can cross multiply and divide. I'm just going to cross multiply real quick. So I'm going to take 125 times P. So 125 times P is equal to 100 times 108. And so we get 125P is equal to 10,800. And I want to solve this equation for P, so divide both sides by 125. All right, 125 is divide out. So now your P value, your percent, is 10,800 divided by 125. And this gives you a value of P, your percent, is equal to 86.4, and then that will just write as our percent. So the difference with using a proportion is that you don't have to change this into a decimal. All right, you can just calculate your percent and leave it as is, all right, because your percent is out of 100, and that's what that means. All right, all right, let's take a look at another problem. All right, so in this one, it's saying solve each percent problem by setting up a proportion. 75 is 3% of what? So again, I'm going to write out is over of is equal to your percent out of 100, all right? So what I know is that is equal to 75, all right? Because it just tells us, all right? 75 is. Our percent is equal to 3, all right? Because it's 3%. And then of what, all right? That's what we're looking for. We don't know what our of value is, all right? So if we don't know what something is, we're going to assign it, I'm going to assign it a variable, because that's what we should probably do when we're setting up equations. So if is 75, of we don't know, I'm going to call that x. All right, so of, when we don't know what that is, I'm going to assign it a variable over here, and then that's going to be equal to 3% out of 100. And again, we're going to cross multiply this, so we're going to do 3 times x is equal to 75 times 100, which is 7,500. All right, I'm just multiplying 75 by 100. And then divide by 3, divide by 3. And so then x is equal to 2,500. All right, and that's what we're trying to figure out. All right, and that's your answer. Okay, on this last problem, same thing, solve each percent problem by setting up a proportion. 32% of 53 is what? So I'm going to write out my proportion. Is over of is equal to your percent out of 100. All right, that's our formula. So 32%, so our percent is equal to 32. All right, our of value is equal to 53 because that's what it says. It just says of 53. So my of value is 53 is what? Now is, since we don't know what that is, all right, I'm going to assign that a variable x, all right? So this will make that x, okay? So if we're setting up our proportion and we don't know what is, I'm going to make that our variable. X divided by of, which is 53, is equal to 32% out of 100. All right, from here, we can cross multiply. So we have 100 times x is equal to 32 times 53. And that's going to give us 100x is equal to 1,696. And then we're going to divide that by 100, okay? So if we divide that by 100, we get then that x is equal to 16.96. And that's our value that we're trying to figure out, and that's what's answering our question. All right, so hopefully this all makes sense. Please reach out if you have any questions. We'll see you soon. Thanks. Bye.